you need a new law. And Proposition 6 is that new law. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
This really played on all of these old stereotypes of, gay and lesbian people as predators on children.
Gay may be okay, but not in the classroom.
Proposition 6 really struck to the core of how nasty the opposition to homosexuality was going to be.
Now, don't try and tell me that it's just an act of expression between two men who love each other. A lot of people love their dogs and their cats, but they don't run around jumping in bed with them to make love to them.
One pamphlet even suggests that students may be molested by homosexual teachers, a subject debated by Briggs and gay politician Harvey Milk.
The child molester is heterosexual. The rapist is heterosexual. Do you want those people to teach our children? You keep turning around, Senator, and you're lying through your teeth and you know it.
Thousands of gays and others opposed to Proposition 6 cheered when it became obvious that the measure had been voted down by 3-2.
The campaign to stop the Briggs Initiative was successful because it drew from that wave of political activism that Harvey Milk rode. That sense of accomplishment was very short-lived, tragically short-lived.
Both Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed.
Harvey Milk and the mayor of San Francisco, George Moscone, were assassinated in City Hall by a disgruntled former member of the Board of Supervisors.
Dan White had been a policeman, then fireman, and until 2 weeks ago, an elected member of the Board of Supervisors.
The mayor wouldn't hire him back, and Harvey Milk had persuaded him not to. But underneath it, there was a sexual angle. His homophobia toward Harvey Milk.
Mayor Moscone had been meeting with a former city supervisor, Dan White. A few minutes later, aides found the mayor dead. Just down the corridor in another office, they then found the body of Supervisor Harvey Milk, also shot to death.
If Harvey Milk had lived, he would have probably become first gay mayor and gone further than that. He was sort of the gay equivalent to Martin Luther King.
Thousands of people walked in a candlelight parade, honoring the memory of Supervisor Milk. At the end of the parade, a gathering at City Hall. Singing led by Joan Baez.
There was this tremendous outpouring of grief over that. It's like the candlelight vigil where Joan Baez sang. I mean, it just, the whole city, it seems, came out for that.
White was convicted only of manslaughter and given a minimum sentence.
Kill 2 people and get off with 4 to 7 years, that's ridiculous.
White confessed, but in court argued he'd acted under diminished mental capacity.
He said he'd been binging on junk food and was in this sort of altered state of mind. They called it the Twinkie defense.
Twinkies are the best friends I ever had. I fought the law and I won. I fought the law and I won.
It was a murder out of the Old West. It was obvious what had happened.
I blew George and Harvey's brains out with my six gun.
That verdict meant that it's okay to kill faggots still, even in San Francisco.
So many people felt so deeply that there was a homophobic component to Dan White getting off so easily that they needed to lash out at something.
On the evening of the verdict, I got a call from a friend who was a reporter there, said, you better get down to City Hall, there's a riot here.
They called it the White Night Riots. 5,000 people besieged City Hall and just trashed the place.
Police cars were being burned, and the police, because of a change of shift, were barricaded inside City Hall, and they were fuming. And so when they were finally released, it was just sadistic.
In retaliation, they sent squads of police cars into the Castro.
The night of the City Hall riots, the police burst into a bar on Castro Street, attacking gays with billy clubs.
And they started beating people on the streets. They raided bars. They vandalized property, all in the name of suppressing a riot. But the riot was happening, miles away at City Hall.
It was a harsh reminder of how far we hadn't come as a society And it was also a harbinger of the divisive politics that would engulf America in the following decades.
I resent the fact that they're interfering with my rights. They have rights, but they don't have more rights than I do.
Inevitably, the forces of revolt were gathering.
I see the women's liberation movement as an anti-family movement.
There's a growing backlash. People are uncomfortable, threatened by the increased visibility of pornography. The sudden legality of abortion.
Let us call it by its proper name, murder!
Things were turning in the country. There was a change in the mood.
Everything was spinning out of control at the time. All culture. There was a war. There really was a cultural war going on at home.
At the same time, the sexual revolution is really accelerating. What happens from this point on is that the battle lines are being drawn until, in the next decade, what you see is an epic culture war over sexuality in America.
God bless America.